Hello everyone, this is John Marshall, and today I'll be taking one small talk on the spiritual riches of our Basilica of Bom Jesus. So a short history about this basilica. You must be well aware about Saint Francis Xavier and his association with this basilica. So how this basilica came to be? If you see in the pages of history, in the year 1542 was the year in which Saint Francis Xavier, along with his few companions of the Society of the Jesus, who came to Goa. And initially, during that time, the basilica was not existing. At that time, the basilica was not existing. But later, on which year it started? Was it during the lifetime of Saint Francis Xavier or after his lifetime? It was after the lifetime of Saint Francis Xavier. Saint Francis Xavier's death was in 1552. So till that time, where the Jesuits were? The Jesuits were based on the College of St. Paul, whose ruins you can see so with a few short distance from here. You can see the ruins of College of St. Paul. The Jesuits were based on that place. So how this place came to be? So if you see in the pages of the history, it was in the year 1586, January 12th, that the Casa Professa, the professed house of the Jesuits, which is attached to the church. If you see, when you come to visit the basilica, this is the church where Saint Francis Xavier and his incorrupt body, his remains are being kept. This is one portion. And the other one is the other wing where the fathers are residing. So that is known as Casa Professa. So that predates the basilica. So it was constructed in the year 1586. So how it got constructed? There is a very interesting story. So as usual, many religious orders were coming to Goa. There were Franciscans and there were Dominicans. So automatically those religious orders, though they commanded the work of the Jesuits, especially towards a Catholic education and the seminary formation of the native people in the College of St. Paul, they didn't like the idea of Jesuits having a separate house apart from St. Paul's Gate. So there was opposition during that time. So what they say according to the history is that in 1586, where now the Casa Professa stands, so this place, there were two bakeries, 2 or 3 bakeries were there, and this place was known as Terro dos Galos. I mean the ground of the cockfights. Galush is Galush is a cockfight, So that was a popular entertainment during the olden times, which after the Portuguese conquest of Goa, which was forbidden during that time. And this Terro dos Galos, near to that, some bakeries were existing, and the Jesuit fathers had taken possession of those bakeries overnight, and they have placed the emblem Jesus in its cover, and at the morning they have rang the bell and for mass. So they have already taken a possession of some places as their residence. So once taken residence and mass being celebrated, it's very difficult to have them removed. So that is how, in a way, in a providential way, through a lot of prudence and everything, that God had allowed the Jesuits to have Casa Professa over here in 1586. So after that, the Jesuits wanted to have a church of their own. If you see the Franciscans had a monastery, which is now the museum. If you come, that was the original convent of the Franciscans. But close to that, there is a church also. So the same way, the Jesuit fathers have, their first step to have a residency, it came to effect. But what about having a church of their own? And secondly also, the sacred relics of Saint Francis Xavier requires a place in which they can be better venerated by the people. So these are many other concerns, and the fathers want to have a church of their own. So considering all these factors, in the year 1594, a new construction has started. A new construction of the Basilica of Bom Jesus had started at this place. On which day? On the day of November 24th. November 24th is a day memorable for every Goan and every people who are devoted to Saint Francis Xavier, because the novena starts. Novena to Saint Francis Xavier starts during that time. December 3rd is his feast. November 24th onwards, the novena will start. So on November 24th, 1594, so the year is now November 24th, 1594, that the construction of the church began. And it was within, and there was no particular founder as such attributed to the foundation of the Church of Bom Jesus, but it is attributed to the collective effort of all the Jesuits who were residing in Goa during that time. And the architect was one Jesuit brother who was well versed in architecture, as we know very well through the Jesuits and their contribution to architecture, their mastery in science, we know very well. So one brother from the Jesuits themselves was the main architect over there, along with that Julius Zimau, who was the chief architect of the city of Goa, was the another main architect of the Basilica of Bom Jesus. So this Julius Zimau is also the architect of the cathedral, which is the mother church of the Archdiocese of Goa. So such a great giants in architecture as well as spirituality were the ones who are associated with the foundation of this church. Once it was finished and completed in the year 1605, that it was consecrated. So the church was finished and blessed in the year 1605. By whom? The Archbishop of Goa. What was his name? Dom Alessio de Menezes. Dom Alessio de Menezes had consecrated the church on which year? 1605, and the date is May the 15th. May 15th, 1605 is the day in which the Basilica was consecrated, and finally it became a full-fledged church. And apart from that, after so many years of this existence, you can see from 1606 onwards to 2022 till now we have got more than 400 years of the glorious history, and it has been a symbol of Goa's heritage as well as Goa's spirituality